Happy December 24th, and welcome to MicroStrategy Today, the only daily show bringing you MicroStrategy's insights, intel, updates 7 days a week. And we have a doozy of a show today. We're going to talk about MicroStrategy wanting to increase the number of outstanding shares from 330 million to over 10 billion and what that means. We're going to be having a video clip from Brian Brooks, the newest person to join the board. I think it's going to really fire you up. I have some amazing tweets that I'm going to be sharing with you as always. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. As always, this is not financial advice. Please consult a financial advisor before making any financial decisions. And before we dive in, I just want to share with you what's on the screen here. I spent weeks putting together almost a 2-hour history of MicroStrategy. I relied heavily on some very important people who I gave full credit to in this presentation. But if you go to the YouTube page, to our YouTube channel, you'll see the complete history of MicroStrategy. I know it's 2 hours or close to it, but believe me, it is worth your time. You're going to go through it and you're going to learn a lot, as I did creating this. And then you're going to leave it, in my opinion, in my hope, and my wish, even more excited and fired up as to the future of MicroStrategy. So when you have some time, bookmark this, download it, save it, do what you need to do, but go through it. Give me a comment below, because I'm always looking to improve this complete history of MicroStrategy. I will keep adding to it as I need to keep adding to it. So add comments there to help me improve the complete history of MicroStrategy. I put my blood, sweat, and tears into that, and I hope you enjoy. Now let's get into the MicroStrategy tracker. Let's go. So here's the deal. Not the best day yesterday. The stock price dropped to $332. We dropped to number 123 out of 500 in the S&P 500 rankings, dropping 18 spots. A lot of that is to do with the Bitcoin price action, which, as we're speaking right now, is at 94,000 and change. The Bitcoin value per share is at 170, and the NAV premium once again slipped under 2 to 1.946. There's still a $14 billion profit going on for a 51% return percentage. And the Bitcoin yield to date is still a shockingly amazing 73%. The Bitcoin yield quarter to date is 47%. And I've had a request from one of my viewers to go really in depth on this MicroStrategy tracker. So I'm going to do that. I actually reached out to the person who created this and asked them to jump on a call with me and either record a complete walkthrough of this, or to tell me, or to just record a private one for me. I'll learn about it, and then I'll just record a video for you guys to do a deep dive on this MSTR tracker so we can really understand all of its nuances. Because I mean, look at all these things as you go down here. It's just really exciting to look at all these different charts that are happening and what they mean. And of course, there's the new Saylor charts that are over here right now that have so much cool stuff going on. So stay tuned for that. Okay, now let's dive into the main topic that we're going to talk about today, which is MicroStrategy's 42 billion Bitcoin plan includes increasing shares from 330 million to 10 billion. Now, this freaked a lot of people out because they're like, oh my God, they're going to increase the shares from 330 million to 10 billion. Isn't that going to be so dilutive? Well, number one, listen. Not everything that MicroStrategy is going to do for the next 50 to 100 years of their life is going to be bullish. Every company makes mistakes. Every company makes missteps. This is not one of them. This is unbelievably bullish if you understand exactly what is going on. Since the very early days, MicroStrategy, has had this cap of 330 million shares, and they had just about a year ago only had about 20 million shares that were outstanding. And then guess what? They did a 10-for-1 stock split, and that bumped it up from 20 million to 200 million. Now, as you know, 200 million is pretty close to 330 million. What does that mean? MicroStrategy cannot do another stock split of any size. And of course, we want that as shareholders going forward, because that would mean that MicroStrategy stock is at $1,000 or $2,000 or $3,000 per share. They're going to do a stock split at that time. They need room to be able to do that. That's what this is for. That's what this 10 billion move up for, is so that MicroStrategy can do future stock splits to help you, to help me, to help the stock, to help everybody, because that is going to be a great move when that happens. A company like Apple has like 50 billion shares that are just, waiting for stock splits and things along those lines. And of course, there's other benefits to this as well. This is going to allow MicroStrategy to issue more of those great convertible notes and be very creative with future financing. This is just, once again, by the way, MicroStrategy and Michael Saylor being ahead of the game, saying, we know what's coming. We know that Bitcoin is the capital of the future, is the digital gold of the future. We know that it's the best preservation of capital ever created. We know that Bitcoin is going up forever. As Michael Saylor says, if it's not going to zero, it's going to a million. You and I are going to be on that ride. It's going to a million, my friends. In my opinion, in my hopes, in my beliefs, it's going there. And guess what? MicroStrategy needs room to grow with that. They can't stay at 330 million shares. That means no more stock splits. That's going to handicap them on future fixed income assets that they want to create, instruments that they want to create, notes that they want to issue. It's not going to allow them to do that. This is going to. So believe me, this is a very, very bullish move by MicroStrategy. I'm actually going to flip over to this tweet right here just to jump out of order real quick. Um, Watch this, listen to this special meeting. They talk about the 10 billion shares and they go into specific detail as to why this is a very amazing and important move. Just search for Punter Jeff. He held a Twitter space. You can just see his Twitter handle right here. It is an hour and 50 minutes. I'm kind of giving you the quick notes from it because I went through and listened to this. So I've already given you the highlights and the quick notes, but just hearing them talk about it, like I loved it. I learned something. I'm passing that learning along to you now. And this is why, to me, it's very exciting what they're doing because I'm understanding that process. So going back to the news article now, and I will put that in the show notes, by the way. So I'll link that up below in the show notes. Even these news articles are kind of getting it, which I like to see. I mean, they talk about exactly what's going on and why MicroStrategy is doing that. And I've highlighted a few things in some of these upcoming news articles that I will also link in the show notes page as well. Like this one, for instance, MicroStrategy announces shareholder vote on increasing Bitcoin holdings. You can see the part that I highlighted. As of 31 December, the authorized number of Class A shares was 330 million, but the firm is asking for a green light to issue up to 10.33 billion. That would greatly improve MicroStrategy's prospects for financing potential future investments, such as extra Bitcoin purchases, adding to its strengths. So this is what it's doing. It's adding to its strengths. Even the media is getting it right immediately. Usually it takes the media days, if ever, to get it right. They're already getting it right. This is a bullish move. This is a strong move. This is what a healthy, growing company does. So do not believe the FUD that you're reading online. Watch that Twitter space that I'm going to link to below. It's an hour and 49 minutes long. If you just listen to the first 10 to 15 minutes, they go over the things that I just was talking about, even in a little bit more detail and why that's important. So really important stuff, my friends. Surround yourself with the right people. And that's what I'm helping you do here today. Even this article right here, MicroStrategy proposes significantly increasing the number of shares to buy more Bitcoin. And they talk about this here. The software company seeking approval to raise its Class A common shares from 330 million to 10.33 billion. It was part of, his 2121 plan that they're obviously crushing. And then at the bottom here, these funds would back the company's future Bitcoin acquisitions and strengthen its position as a Bitcoin treasury firm. That's what you want as a shareholder. This is what I want as a shareholder. This is something that MicroStrategy would have to do at some time. So why not do it now? Let's get ahead of the game. You don't want to have to be rushing to do it at the very last minute. You want to be saying, hey, we've got a ton of breathing room for the future. Now we can really and aggressively put our plans into action. Michael Saylor tweeted here, I think we will see the growth of digital monetary ecosystem with Bitcoin at the core, serving as a digital capital and the true source of economic energy for the free world. And very important tweet here because Michael Saylor is just breaking down what he's thinking and how he's thinking about it. Okay, let's move into some tweets because I got a lot of good ones today. I mean, what happens? The orange dots on Saylor Tracker are motivational. I love how they change things up. There's continuously having fun. MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor, and then, the people like myself and others. that are posting things about MicroStrategy, because it's just fun to see a company that is revolutionary in action. So what did they do here to kind of mix things up? Well, they went from green to orange, number one, but then they also changed the size of these dots to the amount of Bitcoin that was purchased. So you can see these huge circles here. That's because they made huge Bitcoin purchases. So I just kind of like how they mix things up, and they're always having fun. And you and I are part of that. We're in on the fun. Michael Saylor says, "Hey, MicroStrategy acquired 5,262 Bitcoin for 561 million at 106,662. Because why? Because Michael Saylor will be buying the top forever. He'll be buying the top forever, my friends. That's good for you. That's good for me, because he doesn't care. He knows Bitcoin is going up forever. He believes it. I believe it. Exciting times. That achieved a Bitcoin yield of 47.4% quarter to date, 73% yield year to date. And as of 12/22/24, we hodl 444,262 Bitcoin at an average of 62,257 per Bitcoin. Lovely stuff. Look at that, 4.9 million views. People are catching up, my friends. We're ahead of the game, but people are catching on. Okay, Ben Workman says, we have a new post to figure out now. Orange dots are sized for Bitcoin for purchases. Motivation for a bigger buy announcement from MSTR this Monday. We'll have to wait and see. Exciting times. I love how Ben shares that. And then right here, update. MicroStrategy now holds 444,262 Bitcoin, worth $42.7 billion. Chris says, there's a certain aura that comes with being in the NASDAQ. MicroStrategy is now officially part of the elite. My friends, if you owned MicroStrategy before their inclusion in the NASDAQ 100, congratulations. You should be proud of yourself. If you, by the way, are listening right now or are watching and you bought afterwards, you should be proud of yourself as well. You are so early on this train, and this train is going to be such a fun ride. A ride of volatility, by the way, to the upside and the downside. 500 billion in 3 years. Jesus, let's just say JC right here. Mark says, since MicroStrategy announced a $42 billion plan on October 30th, MicroStrategy has purchased $17.13 billion to date. So of the $42 billion, they're at like 44-ish% of that $42 billion plan in just less than 2 months. And just 2 months is crazy. He said, my guess is that Saylor is probably going to announce a $3.87 billion purchase he made over the past few days before the market opened tomorrow. Then he will wait for the stock to rip a bit due to the QQQ inflow before doing the convert. This will give a higher conversion price. Next step to finish off all remaining $21 billion before the Q1 earnings, which is in early February. During the Q1 call, he can then announce something like a $500 billion 3-year plan, $42 billion finished in 3 months. Then 12 months, he can do $168 billion. In 3 years, he can do $504 billion. These numbers are obviously astronomical, and this person doesn't really have any idea what's going to happen. I don't even think Michael Saylor and MicroStrategy know what's going to happen. It's market dependent, but it is just kind of fun sometimes seeing, what is, out there. Because, by the way, if this person had posted a month ago or 2 months ago that MicroStrategy was going to do that $42 billion 3-year plan in 3 months, people would have thought that he was crazier than this post. So, and that is pretty much happening. This is something that I want to share as well. The MicroStrategist, another must-read article, and I totally agree. Too long, didn't read version is MicroStrategy share price is likely to grind sideways until they burn through the 2121 ATM around 22 January 25, followed by a strong run-up during the blackout period before an earnings call on February 4th, 2025. My friends, patience. We're talking 1 month. If there's somewhat of a sideways grinding action for the next month, let's just have fun knowing that we can continue to stack as the sideways action happens, knowing what's happening in the future. All these catalysts that I've talked about over and over again, the earnings call, the potential S&P 500 inclusion, FASB, all these different things are just coming, and it's so exciting. I will link up this article right here in the show notes, from blackouts to breakouts. What's next for MSTR? This is from Marty. He posted this on 22 December 2024. And when Marty posts, it's like it's must read material. It's so exciting. So I will post this in the show notes as well. I'm highly recommend giving that a whirl, but we have a lot to get to today because there's a tweet from Ben Workman I wanted to talk about. He says, I know retail is hating MicroStrategy price action for the most part, but you know who loves it? The convertible arbitrage desk buyers of the convertible bonds. These significant expansions and contractions of price are what allow them to run their data hedging strategies, and is exactly why they love holding these bonds and trading around them on the equity. Just remember, retail is not driving the ship here. It'd be ignorant to think so. Just look at the volumes trading. The major capital that is at play is loving this price action for the last month. It's an institutional level capital playground for generating returns on Wall Street. Also, for reference, this correction we've seen has happened several times already this year. It's not abnormal behavior for the stock. March, April, peak to trough, 49%. June, July, 31%. July, August, 44%. November, December, current, 42%. This is common for a stock that's volatile, and that's why it's so amazing. So Ben says, so what we've seen is hardly out of character. It's not the first major correction we've seen. It absolutely won't be the last. When you design an equity for volatility, you can't be surprised when volatility happens. It's always felt like it's over. It never has been. And my friends, it is just getting started. If you can just surround yourself with the right people and the right people who know what's going on and see the long-term play of this, I'm so excited for the future. Punter Jeff says, MicroStrategy holds 44,262 Bitcoin. They started the year with 189,000. He added 255,112 Bitcoin to the balance sheet this year. $4 billion of debt is set to convert, likely in Q1 of 2025. And the balance sheet is primed to take on leverage from a newly issued debt. And some of y'all are bearish. Nobody said this ride would be easy. Today's sentiment feels eerily similar to late April, early May. Woo-hoo-hoo. I mean, come on. All of this is so bullish, in my opinion. I love it. I hope you're loving it too. I'm going to share with you 3 video clips now. The first one is from Brian Brooks, who was just added to the board. It was such a coup and such a score for MicroStrategy. I covered that in the last video, but it's a huge deal. This guy is just so connected in the financial world. I mean, Michael Saylor is just stacking the talent. He's stacking the Bitcoin. What more could we ask for to be invested in? I mean, this is so awesome. But I'm going to share that. I got 2 Michael Saylor clips because they're always classic. Enjoy.
The core things that banks have done since the 1300s, those are going to go away, 100%. And let's just be clear what I mean by that. The reason that we even have banks originated in Italy around the year like 1340, all right? And the reason they originated was because of a set of accounting advances that allowed banks to serve as trusted intermediaries between parties that owed each other money. Before that, literally, I would write you a note and I would promise to pay you money, and you'd put the note in your pocket and you'd see if anybody else would take the note. You know, that's why we refer to discounting notes. And then banks arose, and it was like, you no longer need to do that. We'll take care of it for you, but you're going to have to pay us to do that. That function of needing a trusted intermediary to maintain ledgers of account to figure out, do I owe Brooks money or does Brooks owe me money? It turns out that function no longer has to be done by human beings. The same way we don't need postal clerks anymore. I can send you an email for free and it's instant, and that's just the end of the post office. Sorry, but it just is. That function will go away. What's going to be left for banks is the high value add services, structured finance, investment advisory, all of the things that make a dynamic economy function. We still need people to do that. There's a lot of creativity going on in finance. But the core of banking, the base of the pyramid, the thing that drives most of their revenue, doesn't need to exist. And that's why I say, and I was saying to one of the organizers, even before we stood up on this panel, cryptocurrency does not seek to replace currency. It's a bad name. Cryptocurrency seeks to replace banking.
So you're buying?
Yeah, I'll be buying at the top forever. What are we going to do? Well, we're going to do this $42 billion and then rinse and repeat and double it and double it and double it and double it. And you're going to say, like, well, where does it end? Well, I guess when we've taken 1% of the fixed income market, which is $3 trillion, and when we levered it up, and we've got 10 billion, we bought 3 trillion of Bitcoin and we're trading at $10 trillion in market cap, we'll be growing 20% a year.
And there you have it, my friends, another episode of MicroStrategy Today. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. There was so much information. I know I went a bit long, but there's just so much I needed to share with you about the 10 billion shares and really explain that. I hope you do watch that Twitter space, because there's so much there in that hour and almost 50 minutes Twitter space that happens. A lot of good intel that's in there. As always, I'm going to put everything here in the show notes that we talked about here today, so you have easy access to that. As you can see right here, I'm going to once again give a request of you, my viewers, my subscribers. people that consume this content. Check out the complete history of MicroStrategy. I know that it's an hour and like 40 minutes long, but I poured my blood, sweat, and tears into this. I would love your comments on that video specifically, about what you like about it, about what you don't like about it. I have very thick skin, and I'm just trying to improve it. And in anything else you want to comment about that, because I'm trying to get MicroStrategy out to the world with this, to help you, to help myself, to help Michael Saylor, to help MicroStrategy. This is my goal. And I think that this could end up being a huge part of people being like, I don't get MicroStrategy. And now we can send them something like this. And they sit down, and it's not easy because it's an hour and 40 minutes, but it will at least get them understanding what's happening with MicroStrategy. And they'll leave that video knowing. So I made this for you to share with your friends, your family, your loved ones, for you to further educate yourself as I further educated myself in the creation of this. And as always, this is not financial advice. Do your own research. I want to give a big thank you to our sponsor, NordVPN. If you're not protecting your online identity and your family's online identity, for a few bucks a month, you can with NordVPN. Support the show, support my sponsor. Link is in the show notes. And remember, as Michael Saylor says, there is no second best.